The best part about owning a Rolex? Well, it's a Rolex. What more do you need? But there's also the famous Rolex waiting list. So, can you get your hands on a Rolex without enduring the agonizing delay? That's the dream, right? Well, let me tell you, it's not just a dream. It's totally doable. As a matter of fact, I just did it. Well, not just. This was back when I got my first Rolex. I already did a video on why my first Submariner changed everything for me. But the part that I skipped was how I got my hands on it. Well, I was able to skip this agonizing period without any previous purchase history. Yeah, it's true. In fact, I got a call from my Rolex authorized dealer after just 2 weeks of waiting. You see, I'm just an ordinary guy. No fancy connections or insider knowledge. But I cracked the code to bypass those dreaded waiting times. And today, I'm here to spill the beans on how you can do it too. But first things first, is there even such a thing called a Rolex waiting list? Well, the answer is both yes and no. The brand does not sell directly to customers, so they don't have any lists per se, but the authorized dealers who act as middlemen do. But why? Well, it all boils down to Rolex's legendary popularity. These Swiss timepieces are like gold dust. Everyone wants one, but there's just not enough to go around. Rolex produces limited quantities each year, far from meeting the constant demand. The demand always outstrips supply. But why are these Swiss watches so popular? Over the decades, Rolex has earned an unmatched reputation for incredibly high-quality, technical perfection, and stunning design. But most importantly, these watches are extremely stable and guaranteed investments. In fact, you can even sell yours overseas for a fair price. Think of it like God's currency, appreciated by all equally. But owning one is not all about cashing out when you need to. The owning it part is just as lucrative. A Rolex is a powerful status symbol, often worth more to the wearer than the purchase price. Wearing the Rolex Daytona, Submariner, or GMT Master 2 signals success, style, and good taste, and can even lead to business opportunities. Well, they did for me anyway, as I discussed in one of my other videos. In any case, the brand stands for pure luxury and is so renowned that people are willing to pay large sums without hesitation. All of this creates a level of popularity that few other watch brands can match. Consequently, the long waiting times for some models are a given. Acquiring an exclusive Rolex isn't something you can do on a whim, but with the right approach, you can beat the wait. So, what's the secret sauce, you ask? Well, it's all about your approach. I've had my fair share of bumps in the road when it comes to scoring that elusive Rolex. My first attempts at cozying up to Rolex authorized dealers were, well, let's just say less than successful. I'll never forget the time that I strolled into the dealership, all confidence and swagger, only to be met with puzzled looks when I bluntly asked for the hottest Rolex models. I said, and I think I'm quoting this when I say, "Can you show me your most popular model, like the Daytona or Submariner?" I literally said that. I had no idea what I was looking for, no research, and no clear direction. And on top of it, I was being too direct. This can backfire, big time. Lesson learned. So I switched gears and tried a softer approach with a different dealer. I made it crystal clear that I wasn't some shady reseller and I genuinely wanted a Rolex for myself. But guess what? That didn't quite do the trick either. It seemed like that they didn't quite buy my sincerity. And I couldn't blame them. I probably sounded like a broken record. So, a couple of embarrassments later, I learned what works and what doesn't. As I reflected on my past attempts, I couldn't help but wonder about the inner workings of the dealer's mind, but most importantly, on what to do differently next time. So I began preparing for another attempt. After licking my wounds and reflecting on my past blunders, I realized that there's a fine art to wooing these dealers. It's all about understanding their game and playing by their rules. With each stumble, I gained valuable insights into what makes these dealers tick. Because here's the thing. Every setback was just another step towards cracking the code, and I was determined to crack it wide open. So how did I do it then? Well, for my next attempt, I decided to change my approach and dress more appropriately. I'm not a superficial person, and I believe with all my heart that one's worth can't be judged solely by appearance. But first impressions do matter, whether we like it or not. Dressing smartly can help make a positive impression on the authorized dealer. Now, I'm not talking about going all out in a 3-piece suit, let's keep it real. But I made sure to wear clean, presentable clothes that reflected style but didn't scream trying too hard. Nice jeans, a new pair of trainers, and a polo shirt did the trick. If you already wear a suit to work, consider visiting the dealer during your lunch break or after work when you're already dressed to impress. Business casual attire is perfect. Well, it works for me consistently. Looking clean, well-dressed, and wearing your favorite cologne or perfume can certainly enhance your chances, or at least it won't diminish them. And then, skip the smug rich boy act. Being unpleasant won't get you far, especially when trying to get to the top of a Rolex waiting list. Authorized dealers can allocate Rolex sports models to whomever they choose, and they're not going to favor someone they don't like. So I focused on being kind and courteous. I made a conscious effort to be genuinely friendly and courteous to everyone at the dealership. I brushed up on some basic principles of body language and social interaction to make myself more likable. Now, if you're not sure how to do that, you can read How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. It's a great book with excellent practical advice. But there's more to it. In fact, this next part is the game changer. That is knowledge. You don't need too much of it, but you do need it. I realized that I didn't need to become a Rolex expert overnight. That would have been impossible, of course. However, I made a concerted effort to memorize some key information about the brand, its history, core models, and technical aspects. I knew that having this knowledge would give me plenty to discuss with the dealer. This way, I was able to show my seriousness about Rolex. Plus, it also gave me confidence when engaging with the dealer. I remember how I tried to take a proactive approach, and yes, I'll admit it might have been considered a bit like spying, but hey, it was totally worth it. And no one got harmed. I found out when the dealership usually received their deliveries. Using this information, I strategically planned my visits, aiming to catch them right after a fresh delivery. And you know what? Sometimes luck really does favor the prepared. On one such visit, everything aligned perfectly. The sales representative was in a good mood, and he appreciated my knowledge and enthusiasm. I brought it up very casually when chatting him up. And to top it off, they had just received the model I had my eye on. Well, you know the rest of the story. Sometimes a little bit of planning and preparation can go a long way. Learning from my past attempts, I knew that effective communication was crucial to showing my commitment to the dealer. I had a heart-to-heart with the dealer, letting them know that I was ready to complete the transaction within 24 hours of receiving the call. I suggest that you do some homework and determine which model best suits your preferences and lifestyle. It will take some time, but trust me, it will make a world of a difference in your approach. But it didn't end here. You see, I wanted to connect with this dealer on a personal level. So when I got the call, I made sure to visit the store in person with my card ready. I inspected the watch before making the purchase to make sure everything was in order. Meeting with the sales representative, I was eager to hear how I got my hands on this model so quickly. Well, he didn't say it out loud, but it was clear that I was a priority on this list because of my respectful and non-pushy demeanor. And that was my little secret to skipping the Rolex waiting list. By forming a connection, a genuine bond with the sales staff. Also, a bonus tip. Well, this was my first Rolex ever. But whenever I went on to buy another one, I'd wear this one to the dealership to show my seriousness to the sales staff. But in any case, just remember the power of kindness. Treat others with respect, and you might just find yourself pleasantly surprised by the results. Thanks for joining me on this adventure, and here is to many more pleasant experiences ahead. Happy hunting!